Hello humans. Today I will demonstrate a method of killing Vorkath that is one of the laziest, fastest, and most efficient methods of 2020. This method will require no switches and uses just a blowpipe with addy darts as our weapon of choice. This method also scales with high range, rigor, and things like Pegasians, but as I'll demonstrate later in the video, it is extremely viable with virtually any account on any budget with just a blowpipe. I'll be teleporting to Vorkath with Fremi Elite Boots. Let's get into the demonstration. I first overheal with an anglerfish and fill my inventory with manta rays. Fremi Elite Boots teleport right outside Vorkath's lair. However, water birth portal in your house is similarly quick if you don't have elite boots. I'll actually show the difference in terms of what you have to do using those two teleportation methods. First we have the Fremi Elite teleport. I'll switch over to house portal. Now we're heading through the water birth portal. So it's a little bit longer, but you just take this NPC and you're right back outside of the Vorkath lair. It's not that bad. You guys watching this probably already know how to get there. I'm basically assuming you have a general knowledge on how to reach and fight Vorkath already. This guide's more of a demonstration of a trip showing how to farm Vorkath fast with basically nothing and improve dramatically on aspects of the fight. First thing I recommend you do is disable run and make sure you have your quick prayers set to magic protect and your best offensive prayer for range. I will commentate about various tips on how to get the most out of this method as you watch me complete a trip real time. I'll also add timestamps in the description. So the goal here is to be lazy and fast and efficient and have the least investment requirement out of any method out there. I'm just going to kind of talk you through how this trip goes. First thing you'll notice is that I keep my cursor 2 tiles away from my character. This is for the big missile attacks and for the poison attack that should be coming up here pretty soon. You'll notice I immediately, as soon as it does the attack, I'll immediately walk to the side and then head back. This puts me in position for the Wook's Walk. This is something, it's kind of like a timing thing you have to get down, but I noticed that through my experience, this is the best position to be in for starting the Wook's Walk. You just take a step to the side, walk back towards the entrance, and then click on Vorkath. As soon as your character starts its attack animation, you click back towards the entrance, then back on Vorkath, and then it's just a feeling, timing-based thing. Increases your DPS quite a bit, so it's definitely worth doing. Another thing worth taking note is when he shoots the white freezing ball at you, you have time to eat 2 food without losing any DPS. So as soon as you see that come out, or especially if you know it's coming out next by counting, take advantage of that. If you're missing health, go ahead and eat a food or 2, however much you can afford to eat. Also, in this clip, what I did was I picked up the loot, but because this is an instance, if you're confident in not dying, you don't have to pick up the loot till the end. You can just activate it and attack again. That's really what I typically do, but I just want to give a more practical, learning / improving example of how to fight this boss. But I die so rarely, I don't even remember the last time I died, so I would typically just spawn it again immediately. I'm pretty sure the next video I'm going to make is going to be on how to improve your PVM skills by taking advantage of everything I've learned over the years. Let me know what you think. Things you would expect to see in that video would be tips on maybe taking screenshots if you have trouble remembering what to bring for a task or a boss, so that you just have that reference for the future. Even stuff like there are specific ways to safe spot things that are better than others, and lots of people don't know about that type of stuff. So I would pretty much just make a list of a bunch of things I've picked up over the years. You'll also notice that the food I'm using is a combination of different foods. That's to set up my character to have like the most health at the beginning of each fight. So the pizzas will heal for 11 in 2 bites. So say I'm missing like 15 health from full, I could eat an anglerfish and overheal slightly, or I could just eat a slice of pizza, save a little bit of money per hit points healed, and then overheal even more because I'm closer to my max health before I anglerfish. So that's another thing you can take advantage of while getting these kills. You pretty much set yourself up for the lowest probability of having to heal during the fight, which means you get to have as few interruptions to your DPS as possible. But once again, you can pick up the expensive loot if you think there's a risk of dying, if you're having like lag or whatever. And that way, if you did die, at least the expensive stuff wouldn't get lost in the instance. But yeah, this is a method that's all about being as lazy as possible. As you'll notice, I'm not doing anything like extremely aggressive or anything. I'm just standing here with my cursor 2 tiles away from my character most of the time. You'll definitely want to take advantage of hotkeys. If you haven't learned how to play using hotkeys, the F keys, you will definitely want to start training to do that. That's like pretty much required for endgame content nowadays, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not learning the hotkeys. So I have mine set up for inventory is F1, prayers are F2, spec bar is F3, and then mage book is F4. I'm not sure if that's the best setup, might not even matter, but just in case anyone's curious how I have mine set up. So another thing you'll notice is that, like if I see, say, we'll see what the next attack is. Mage attack, so I'd have a chance to look at my timers now if I needed to. You know, I could take a peek at my prayer and my timers and stuff. After killing this, you'll notice I wait and then I click. You want your character to begin attacking Vorkath on the same game tick that the Scorpion begins its death animation. So if you attack too soon, you're just going to waste ammunition because Vorkath is immune until it starts the death animation. So it's just another instance of maximizing your DPS. Might as well not waste the ammunition. And also you'll notice that when that Scorpion does spawn, I click on the floor because once again, as soon as he kicks out that white ball to freeze you in place, he's already immune to damage. You might as well not shoot. And you also want to get yourself ready to cast a spell. So, Crumble Undead. But yeah, I'm assuming that everybody knows the basics on like what to bring, like bringing Crumble Undead and what gear to bring. This is pretty much just for anyone who is kind of stuck with their progression of Vorkath. With this current setup, 99 range, rigor, and the gear you see in the video, 80% of the time I get 5 kills. A lot of times I'll have food left over in that situation. And 20% of the time I get 6 kills, which I would argue is kind of like the sweet spot because obviously I'm killing them extremely fast. I don't have to leave the instance at all, and I'll actually demonstrate that later. Why leaving the instance is actually kind of a disadvantage. You know, if you're bringing a spec weapon like a BGS, you're wasting inventory space, but I'll get into that more later. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I continue this trip for a few more minutes. I think I got 5 kills in this trip, but you'll see I have plenty of resources left at the end. I could have probably squeaked by another kill, but it wouldn't have really helped with the video any. So yeah, this is pretty much really all there is to it. I mean, you just leave your mouse cursor there and you're just waiting for like three things to happen. Either you get frozen, or poison gets shot at you, or you get a missile shot at you and you have to walk out of the way. I mean, there's not much to it. If you don't feel like you're getting enough kills, it's probably because you're not taking advantage of at least one of these things. You know, overhealing, getting the right combination of food and potions. Like maybe you're bringing too much or too little of something. You should definitely try to take note of what you have left after a trip. Do you tend to have more of something left over that you don't need and you could replace with something more useful? Because definitely the mixture of potions I brought for this trip is not the perfect mixture for everybody. It's just with my current skill level and stats and stuff, it works out best for me. I also, in this video, I do show what the difference in kill time would be if you left and got spec in your house. You'd have to like pick up everything off the floor or just abandon it. You'd spend a full like 30 seconds minimum just getting back to Vorkath. So healing up and running back and speccing Vorkath is not a very practical thing to do unless you're like pretty much guaranteed to save more time. Although I don't see that happening because you're wasting inventory space and you have a decent probability of missing with your specs or hitting low, whatever the case may be. But yeah, you certainly don't want to just bring sharks and like if you're bringing sharks for this content and then wondering why you're not getting enough kills, that alone could be your culprit. Like you definitely want to bring optimal food. You know, it's not 2005 anymore. We can do better than sharks. We can do better than even just one type of food, as I show. I mean, this is my 5th kill for this trip. Still had enough to where I could have squeaked by another kill. I would have had to flash prayer a little bit in this one, but then again, I slowed down with stuff just for the video. But yeah, 20% of the time I can get a reliable 6th kill. Some other stuff to remember is don't take it too serious if you die while learning these bosses. You're gonna end up benefiting a lot more in the long run just dealing with some inconvenience now. If you're already experienced with the boss, then why not try to improve? You know, get more money per hour, buy better gear, do better in future content, you know. It's like a snowball effect, you know. And I have no regrets learning things that were uncomfortable. And I've been, you know, wherever you're at, PVM-wise, I've been there. So I know what you're dealing with. You know, minute 40, what do we got? Minute 45, 219, 134, and 146, all with Addy darts, no spec to reduce the stats for Vorkath. It's just, you know, simple shoot and wait for stuff to happen. And should you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments section. I'll try to answer whatever questions you have. This is my first guide, so I'm not really too sure if I've included everything that you would need. Also, in case anyone was curious, 681k in loot from that trip. So let's say we don't have max stats to work with. Let's say our funds pretty much only give us a blowpipe to work with. I'm going to give a demonstration of what that would be like using this method and, you know, getting the process down, taking advantage of food and timing and stuff the way I've shown in the previous trip. So we're just using snakeskin boots, no ring, and in fact we're not even going to bring a potion because we're going to simulate having like range level somewhere in the 80s. So I'm going to be unrange potted. And we'll just go there, and I'm not going to do a full trip. I'm just going to do one kill, just to kind of give a demonstration of what you would expect, basically just fresh out of completing Dragon Slayer 2, you know, with maybe some decent range, decent defense. So you're pretty much, I'm simulating high 80s for range and defense using a Bastion potion. Also, we're going to get rid of Rigor because that's, you know, clearly an expensive prayer that a lot of people aren't going to have on a budget. So, yeah, we're just going to use Eagle Eye and proceed the same way we do with max stats. You know, I'm not taking any alternate paths here. I'm just holding my cursor 2 tiles over, waiting for something to happen. Super lazy. We don't leave the instance. We don't have to switch gear. You really wouldn't even have to spec if you want to maximize laziness. You really don't even have to blowpipe spec. You could just make your trip like 1 kill shorter and not have to deal with switching to the spec bar or anything like that. But yeah, I guess that's kind of all the pointers I have for this kill here. You'll see I just got hit by 1 tick of poison. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable, but that's a good demonstration of how I just continue walking for 1 more tile until I get a strip that's available to do the Wook's Walk. So it's something you catch on to. You'll see actually the poison flying through.
And
Why did you drink that?
Whoops. Yeah, so in this recording, I, for some reason, thought I hadn't drank an anti-venom yet, and, whoops, there went that money. But it's okay. People make mistakes. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. He's almost dead. But yeah, once again, this is 99 range, unpotted, no ring, snakeskin boots, and just Eagle Eye, no Rigor or Prayer. So nothing special whatsoever. This is like fresh off the boat type stats. And you know, as long as you follow this method, even if you can't, I mean, it really comes down to, if you can't Wook's Walk, that's fine. Just do all the other stuff. You're still going to do pretty much better with this method, or as good as you would with any other method using any other gear. And you can see I used 1 food and half of a pizza. So 1 manta ray, half a pizza, 2 minutes and 18 seconds for the kill with basically nothing. So, you know, if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. The original trip and this recording were just my first attempt. I didn't game the system or anything. This is pretty typical stuff you would expect in terms of like kill times and stuff like that. In fact, I'm quite rusty in this video. Oh yeah, so here's the timer for my potion. I'm just going to use that as an example. It's at 11 minutes. I teleport to my house, and this is an example of why restoring your special and trying to heal after picking stuff up, and then immediately teleporting back to Vorkath as quick as you can, you know, running the entire time, still doesn't matter. Remember, it was at 11 minutes for the timer. We're still running back. And it's been 30 seconds already. And right now, if we had everything equipped and started, you know, spawning him, we're talking minimum of 30 seconds with the best case scenario. And you'd be sacrificing several food for however many switch pieces you needed. And you could miss, so that would be pretty much wasted time. So that sums up the video. If this video helped you, or if you think it'll help someone else, be sure to recommend it, like and subscribe if that's your thing. See you next time.